Thank you. Thank you, Neil. And I am honored to be delivering the first in a series of Power Talks on this month's topic, connecting with the abundant self. And for me, connecting with my abundant self is all about connecting with consciousness. And my favorite lesson on how to do that comes from the very first and most powerful lesson I ever got in metaphysics at the age of 8, watching the movie The Empire Strikes Back. And if you've never seen this movie, Neil's going to post a link that you have to go check out. If you can't copy the link, just go to YouTube and search up Do or Do Not. It will pop up. If you know the movie, you know the scene. Luke Skywalker has been training with Master Yoda, learning to use the Force to lift rocks with his mind. And then the ship that he had crash landed into the water starts to sink, and he gets distracted and frustrated. And he tries to get it out, but he can't. He doesn't have the consciousness. He doesn't have the faith. He doesn't have the belief that he can. And then Master Yoda delivers the entirety of the Science of Mind textbook in a span of about 90 seconds. Still not convinced, Luke goes and sulks in the corner. And then Yoda simply uses the Force to lift the ship out of the water. And Luke is astounded. He says, "I don't believe it." And Yoda says, "That is why you fail." So what does this have to do with abundance? Everything. When it comes to connecting with my abundant self, I really have spent too much of my life being Luke Skywalker, standing on that edge of the water, trying to make things happen, trying to force money to flow, instead of allowing the Force source to flow through me and allow money to come to me. But there have been times when I've been like Yoda, where my mind is free and clear of negative thinking, where I don't judge myself for the size of my bank account, and I simply let the Force be my ally, that connection with Source, that connection with my abundant self. And that is when I succeed. So the trick is remembering to be consciousness of this on a consistent basis. I find it easy after receiving a nice flow of abundance to start thinking, oh, this expense came up, or, oh, the money I was expecting to come in now hasn't come in, or if I don't get paid this amount by this date, I won't be able to pay that bill or do this thing that I want. And then I'm back to Luke Skywalker, sulking beneath a tree, losing that connection with my abundant self. But when I remember to train my mind on that consciousness, believing in that connection, and especially letting go of any attachment to any hows, that's when money miraculously starts to show up. This actually just happened to me very recently after a few months of pretty significant financial struggles. And finally, I was just simply able to let it go. And I could best describe my experience as being a spiritual go-go dancer. Go ahead and visualize that if you will, but what happened was basically I allowed myself to just dance to the music of life, however life showed up. And suddenly it was like people were throwing money at me left and right. $10 here, $100 there, $300, $900, even $2,000 just showing up unexpectedly. And now I'm just focused on maintaining that consciousness, maintaining that flow, maintaining that thought. If you've ever used our principles to create something simple, like finding your keys or treating to improve a health condition or any kind of circumstance, then you already have experienced that same connection with your abundant self. There's no difference in using our principles to create a parking space than there is in creating wild abundance. As Yoda taught, the only difference is in your mind. And I want to leave you with something that I wrote in my meditation journal a few years ago. I had asked God specifically what it was I needed to do or know or be mindful of. And this is the answer that I received. Yes, it's all perfect. And yes, there's more that you can do and more that you can have. And yes, you have the power to make it all happen far more quickly. What you need to do is simply be happy where you are right now. What you create and what you have been creating has less to do with what you do and more to do with how you're feeling. This is where faith comes in. This is where knowing comes in. You always create what you know. When you really know who you are, you can create that which you want. You already know this. You have learned this over and over again. You only have to remember now. And the more you can remember, the more you can create. And that, my friends, is how to connect with your abundant self. And so it is.
Thank you, Brian. Great talk. And now we bring you Reverend Michelle.
Good morning, beloveds. I love that reference. Brian. And you know, I am a Star Wars queen. That was really brilliant. So last week we had a Sunday celebration, and we had guest speakers who I love and adore, and hopefully you do too. You did too. But because it was guest speakers, we didn't really take time aside last Sunday to talk about world events. And I'm never one to put my head in the sand and not pay attention to what's going on. Last Wednesday, we had a absolutely stunning meditation and devotional time together with our Wisdom Wednesday. I'm sorry for those of you who didn't make it there, because it was profound. We were a small but mighty group, and the feeling of peace and groundedness was absolutely profound. We are going to schedule another event relatively soon. I hope for you that you join us, because those are the types of events that empower us to be able to handle the news and to not be swept away in the emotions of everything that's going on. So what I'd like to do today, we haven't been doing meditations at the same time or following Power Talks, but today we are. And so I'd like to read to you the Christian prayer for peace that I read, that everyone seemed to really resonate with the other day when I read it. So I want to bring it to you again. And then what I'd like to do is ask you to just go inside and generate a feeling of peace, because as we know, and as we've been teaching for a long time, as within, so without, as above, so below. So if we, thousands of miles away, cannot do something, then we are called to be something. And I'm asking you to be the place of peace. So I'm going to read this, and then we'll spend a couple of moments in meditation. Again, this is the Christian prayer for peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be known as the children of God. But I say to you that here, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. To those who strike you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from those who take away your cloak, do not withhold your coat as well. Give to everyone who begs from you, and of those who take away your goods, do not ask them again. And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them. Now, if you will, get present in your body. And if you want to bring into the consciousness of this circle that we're forming, even a virtual circle. Let us bring those who are suffering right now in Ukraine and in Russia. No one suffers alone. And let's bring the beautiful people of Poland into our consciousness who are being so incredibly generous. And let's just bring that piece of the world, that part of the world into our time, into our hearts, and become mindful for the next minute or so, not to fix it or change it, just to be present to the place where God resides, right in the middle of this conflict. Let's be the peace. Be the peace. Let us practice this in our own households, in our families, in our place of work, in our individual spiritual communities, in our neighborhoods, in the virtual communities that we are part of. Let us bring and be the peace in the room at once. Thank you for this. The Levens are now going to bring that chant, that beautiful chant, back to us. And I hope you participate now in a deeper way. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. So I want you to say these words wherever you are right now, please, out loud. And as you say them, feel the reaction inside of you. Repeat after me. I am rich. Now pay attention. How did that feel? Was there a part of you that went, oh no, money's dirty? People who have money are dirty people. People who have money are unkind people. People who have money are manipulative. Oh, that's for corporations. What happened? Were you able to get to, yes, I am worthy of my divine birthright? Let's return to the affirmation that I offered us for the month. On the day of my birth, I was granted the opulence afforded to all. That is my divine birthright, a gift of the beloved from which I come. I am not limited to the consciousness of the vessel through which I came. I don't know about you, but my mom and dad didn't have two nickels to rub together. They came out of the depression, and fear governed my mother's lifestyle for certain. She wasn't happy or satisfied unless there was a cupboard filled with money, food. Oh, that's a nice Freudian slip. Unless it was filled with food. If she had a cupboard filled with food, she could relax. If she didn't have that, there was fear, and there was the whole squirreling away of money that she did. Now, squirreling away the money is only a pretense to saving money mindfully, but she didn't. She was afraid. So if she had a coupon that saved her 10 cents, that 10 cents went into her little change purse. I'm talking old ways of doing things now. But the fact is that whether you want more or not, that has nothing to do with being able to claim I am rich. Rich is not your bank account. Rich is not what you have to spend. Rich is a mindset. Rich is a mindset. When I was in my 30s and 40s, probably maybe even to my 50s a little bit, I'm hitting the big 6'5" this year, folks, in just a short time. Life is getting real here. And I always wanted good nails. I always wanted to have manicured nails. I had terrible nails. So for different periods of my life, I spent a boatload of money getting manicures and fake nails and acrylic nails and gel nails. And I spent all this money so I could be okay having nails because I thought that meant something. Well, about 8 years ago, close to 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago, I guess now, that something happened that put those nails in perspective. What was that? The birth of my first granddaughter. And suddenly, wanting beautiful nails and having long nails was not the importance. The importance was being able to play with my granddaughter and later on my wild little grandson without accidentally scratching them. So now I regularly take a nail clipper and I cut them down as low as I can and I file them off. Do I have less then? No, I'm rich. I'm rich because I have the joy that I wouldn't replace for a nanosecond of my grandchildren, and that fun and that love that is so much more important than a hand of manicured nails. Or two hands. This morning, I was getting ready and I heard Neil inside the other room, and he's on Psalm Sunday. And I have two bird feeders now on my front window, which horrified my GC when I did that. He thought I was making my front window ugly. So I have these two bird feeders, and this morning the activity was wild. There was cardinals and this other little red bird and the mourning doves and something else, a couple of other kinds I didn't recognize. The most activity we've had in a while. And then as I'm watching that, hearing my husband, I have a husband, a loving, tender, kind man in the other room talking. And I thought, oh, this is rich. This is about being rich. Rich is a mindset. Now, if you want it to be about money, about finances, fine. But never, ever can we outcreate our consciousness. I have been trying to drum that into us for 20 years. We cannot outcreate our consciousness. So if something is not demonstrating on the outside, demonstration is the act or circumstance of proving or being proved conclusively. Okay? So when we know something, we prove it. If there's constant struggle, then you haven't shifted consciousness yet. Now, struggle will not be relieved. There's many ways to relieve it, and there's many ways to increase this feeling of being rich. One is to get more. That's possible. But the other one, and a major one, is to be happy with what is. To be in a constant and consistent state of gratitude, an unending state of gratitude. When I go to sleep at night, I go to sleep prayerfully. My eyes are closed, I'm already laying down, but I go to sleep either with a gratitude practice or just relishing in something of the day. Not that all days are always good, but I seek to find the thing that was good. So that is what I sleep on. And when I wake up in the morning, sometimes before my eyes are open, the first thing I say is thank you. Thank you. Zig Ziglar said a long time ago, if you think every day isn't a great one, try missing one of them. If you have possessions, but you don't care for your possessions, and I have no idea how you all live, but if you live in chaos and you are not taking time to create order out of that which you already own, a couple things are going to happen. One, you're going to waste time. If you waste time, you're not as rich. If you do not know where you put your keys, put your hat, put your remote, put your whatever, then you lose time. Time is valuable. Because with losing something or having to look for it or having to go through the chaos, if you're living in chaos, having to go through the chaos will cause this feeling in you of not being calm and not being grounded. To be rich, we begin by creating order, because it's respecting the things we already have. To respect. Now, I have gotten tremendously better since being a homemaker from the time I was, I guess, 19 or 20, when I didn't know anything about caring for a home, keeping order. I knew nothing. It was my ex-husband who taught me really how to clean and how to create some order. But the one thing that was always in order was my kitchen. I know where every single item is in my kitchen, because that's kind of my world. That's my zone. So for me, I feel rich in this kitchen, but also in my home now. When we did all the work, I know now where 90% of things are. I don't know, because sometimes it's just too much. But what I know now, yes, I'm looking at Neil's chat. So if I can't find it, maybe I shouldn't own it. Part of being rich is deciding that you might just have too much stuff. All of my boys, especially two out of three of them more, they really choose not to buy things that they don't need. Matter of fact, this morning, I went and borrowed a lasagna pan from Keith, because I realized I don't have a good lasagna pan. Now, if I were to go out and buy a lasagna pan, he would say to me, "Ma, why are you buying a lasagna pan? You should just borrow it." So to spend money on something we don't necessarily need, or to have to gather possessions is a way of trying to make us feel full and rich from the outside. To have clothes in the closet that you haven't worn for years, get rid of them. To have jewelry that you don't wear, get rid of it, give it away. Sell it if you want. I see Chrysula laughing because I know she has a love for jewelry. Disorder is a time stealer, and you are trading that time for your peace of mind. Part of saying I'm rich and part of the being able to accept being rich as a valuable experience is calm that comes with it. It has to do with order. It has to do with not wasting. The consciousness of wastefulness, of not recycling or repurposing is to waste. So if you are wasteful, are you also rich at the same time? I believe that if you make yourself available to the flow of universal intelligence through you, which is the only way that it works, that in order for that to happen, there has to be a synchronicity, and you've heard me use this term before, where we are living in right relationship with everything in our world. Up the block, 3 houses up the block, or just beyond 3 houses up the block, there was this flurry of chaotic bushes and stuff that was on this hill that's been there since I moved there. And one of the beautiful things about all those bushes is some might have looked at it like it was a mess, but every year they had the honeysuckle. I don't know if you know about honeysuckle, but the smell of fresh, live honeysuckle is precious. And every year I'd go up the hill with my grandchildren, especially my grandson, because he would remember, and we'd go up, and if you pick a flower off the honeysuckle and you take out the stamen, and at the end was this tiny little sweet bit of sap. And now they're all gone. And I was like, oh, that feeling. But I value that experience. I value the experience of walking up the block with my grandson to pick honeysuckle. Rich is not your checkbook, although it can be. Rich, I mean, if I sometimes I go out to lunch or dinner with somebody, and if it's just me and somebody else, and I watch as an individual might calculate the 18% that it's supposed to be, or if they're feeling generous, just the 20%. And then when they turn around to leave, almost always, not always, almost always, if I have cash in my pocket, I slip more money on the table. Why? Because I love that feeling that I left behind an experience for the wait staff, whoever that was, that they felt appreciated more above what their expectation was. Mind you, I do not tip for bad service. I do not tip well for bad service. I do like to be cared for. I'm not totally esoteric in that way, or whatever the word is. Having excuses for why you don't have what you want is a waste of time and energy. The amount of time that you and I take to explain why we can't have what we don't want, why life is not working, why we should have more, why we deserve more, all that time and energy can be taken, condensed, ingested, and spit back out as an affirmation of life, saying, I have everything that was given to me as my divine birthright. So we can live by excuses, or we can generate the reality that we want. And that is, if you do want to create increase in your life. Creating increase must include shifting consciousness. And the way we shift consciousness, we start now. We don't look back. It is just like Yoda said. You don't question the possibility. You assume and take on that possibility. You assume it and we take it on. Being generous of spirit. I think this is a critical thing that most people do not relate to being rich. Being generous with love, being generous in compassion, being generous in kindness, just plain old kindness, a compliment, a birthday card, a word of affirmation. Being in that kind of generosity of spirit makes you rich. It makes you rich. And one of the easiest ways, this is going to sound a little counterintuitive. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to go to someone's home, be invited to someone's home that was mind-blowingly large and opulent beyond your experience. And I have been tempted many times in my lifetime to look at that experience and in the moment think, ooh, that I wanted something they had. I've known that many times. Oh, I wish I had the bigger house, or I wish I had the property, or I wish. I've done that. But now, thank you, God, for the maturity of my mindset and wisdom that comes with age, is that the moment I return home, I so value the safety, the love in my own home. It immediately changes my attention from wanting anything outside of myself or anything more than what I already have. I look around here and I say to Neil all the time, yeah, we have a small house, but we have a house filled with love. And so this home is going to be our place of comfort into our years. And so the point I'm making here is sometimes it's good to just stop wanting something extra and to relish in what you have, your friends, your home, or the apartment you live in. Because to love what you have is to make it richer. I am rich is a mindset, it is a consciousness, and it is not governed by anything outside. Ask the people trying to get across the border from Ukraine, leaving all their possessions behind, that how there's probably sadness and grief. I can't even imagine. But I bet the fact that they're safe and that their children are safe has them feel rich, because without them, nothing else would matter. So rich is a mindset, and it's right where you are. It's right where you are right now. There's nothing to do to get it. There's only who do I have to be to allow and accept it. That's what it is. May you be rich. May you feel the abundance of your divine birthright every day. And I hope that you take some of what I said and actually act upon it, if it means tossing, recycling, reusing, and creating order, because order feels wonderful. Have a blessed, blessed Sunday. Thank you.
That was perfect.